grown tired, honestly. I've grown tired of all of the messaging that I continue to hear over and over again that is targeted towards children, especially about they're born in the wrong bodies, about they can be a different sex, that sex and gender are two different things, that there are new terms being introduced such as cisgender and chest feeders and birthing people, and I've simply had enough. I can no longer be silent, and I'm doing this because I want to make sure that I've done something for my future children that I haven't had yet. I'm doing this for my nephews and my nieces that I love dearly, and I'm doing this for anybody else that wants to ensure that their child is brought up feeling comfortable in their own skin, and even feeling comfortable knowing that they do feel uncomfortable. And there has been this recent upward tick in children identifying as trans. And the reason why I titled this clip, I'm Just a Girl Who Could Have Been a Boy, because I have a very personal story when I went through my teen years and when I was going through puberty of extreme discomfort and extreme anxiety and depression. And if I had been born later on, so that I was a teenager right now, it is very possible that I could have been influenced by either educators or by medical professionals such as doctors or therapists, which I saw when I was that age, to have thought that I was born in the wrong body. But thankfully, I wasn't born in this era. I was born back in the 80s. And so this whole concept hadn't gotten a grasp of every sector of society yet. So I was saved from that. But this is my story. From a young age, I was very, quote unquote, girly, feminine. And I enjoyed wearing dresses and I loved having my hair done. And that was me probably up until the age of 10 or 11. And then puberty started hitting. And my body started to change, and that's when I started to change. I wasn't willing to embrace my femininity, my womanhood, my girlishness. It was something that I now wanted to be apart from. I would walk hunched over. I would wear extremely baggy clothes. My breasts were developing, and although I had been wearing, my mom calls it training bras, I needed to now move into actual bras, and I didn't want to. I just was resistant, and I kept on insisting to my mom, like, no, they fit. My training bras, they fit. I don't need to wear a bra. And I didn't want to have my hair done. I just wanted to wear it straight. I just wanted to wear it down. And probably until I got to high school, I would say. I even remember 6th grade, my mom was insisting that I had to wear a dress and I had to be dressed nice, and I did not want to. I just didn't feel comfortable being girly at all. It was extreme discomfort. I recently read what the DSM-5's definition is of gender dysphoria condition, and the way it explains it, that's exactly how I felt. Not only did I not feel comfortable being a girl or a woman, but I also just didn't feel comfortable with my parts. I didn't want them to be apparent to anybody. I wanted to maintain that, that prepubescent, androgynous body that little boys and girls have. And I was starting to show shape. My hips were widening. My breasts were growing. And it was a period of such discomfort for me. And I had extreme anxiety. I had severe depression. At the age of 12, I had to go on Zoloft. My parents were very concerned with what I was going through, and I had suicidal ideation as well. And so they took me to a psychiatrist, and they recommended that I be put on Zoloft. I remember it was a little green pill, and I had to take it 3 times a day. And it was supposed to help with my anxiety and my depression, because my anxiety would be so bad sometimes that I would break out in hives, like from head to toe. Literally every part of my body would be covered in hives. And at first, my family thought I'm allergic to something. I went and did every allergy test. It even got to the point where they had to do a biopsy on me and remove a hive so that they can analyze it and see, was there something that was triggering this response? This is why I ended up going to a therapist, actually, is because the doctor was like, We've done every test. We analyzed her skin, and they basically told my parents, like, we think she needs to go see a therapist because there's nothing physically that is causing her to break out in hives. And so there's something else going on. And it's because there was a lot going on in my house. I had a very dysfunctional home, and there was a lot of chaos that was going on in the house. And I was, 11, 12-year-old girl. I don't know how to process it or cope with it. And so that's all happening while I'm going through puberty. And so that's why I'm sharing this story, because if you had taken me out of the 90s and you plucked me right now, that's the same girl, discomfort with growing body features, widening hips, being girly. I was girly, right? No longer wanting to be girly, wanting to wear baggy clothes, walking hunched over so that my breasts wouldn't be pronounced at all, even wearing baggy clothes, anxiety, depression. Everybody would look at that through a different lens right now. Or not everybody, sorry. Most people would. And they would be looking at me thinking, well, maybe she's not a girl. Maybe you were born in the wrong body. Maybe you're feeling like this because you're a boy. What type of clothes do you like wearing? Or why do you want to wear makeup? And all these, using the prototypical, stereotypical definitions of what a boy and a girl is, as opposed to just looking at it like, hey, it's probably common that young girls are uncomfortable going through puberty. They're uncomfortable with their bodies changing. It is new. It's an experience that's foreign to them. And so, but now, because this gender ideology has gotten a hold of all institutions, that is now the predominant view and filter that those experiences are being looked at. And to make matters even worse, they're encouraging it and affirming it and saying, well, you don't have to be a girl. And guess what? Those breasts that are growing that you're uncomfortable with, you don't need to keep them. We have a surgery to get rid of them. I mean, it's absurd to me to think that this is a rational thought or even a rational reaction, as opposed to, hey, let's talk through this. Let's talk about what's going on. My mom, thankfully, what she did is she spoke with her sisters, and, she was like, I'm really concerned about Cindy. She doesn't want to be girly. She doesn't want to be feminine. She doesn't want to wear dresses. She always wants to be moping around. She doesn't care about doing her hair. And so thankfully my aunts and my mom, they were like, oh, this is just a period. This is just a phase. She'll be fine. She'll get through this. And as I've done research into all of this, I learned that, yeah, that is the case. That I think it's like 80% of kids that experience any type of gender dysphoria, they will settle into, quote unquote, their gender or their sex, right? I know Dr. Jordan Peterson, he always talks about there's no such thing as gender identity. There's just sex, and that, feminism and masculinity, the expression of it is on a spectrum. So, and I agree with that. But we're not telling anybody that. Where's that story? Where are those stories? And if I had this experience, which I don't think is entirely unique, it's possible that there are other women or young girls that went through this experience. And I think that whether you're a parent or not, whether you plan to have children or not, this is something that it affects all of us. It affects the spaces that women have dedicated to them. It affects what is true. And yes, I know we hear all this, oh, I'm going to tell my truth, and this is my truth. And you know what? I get it. There's nuanced things. Sometimes maybe there's your truth and my truth and their truth and so. And you know what? Sometimes there's just the truth. I think that we have gone so far away from wanting to ever offend anybody or ever hurt anybody's feelings that we now think that all truth is subjective, that there's no such thing as objective truth. And we have also gone so far as to deny the most fundamental, basic, objective truth, which is sex. And that The whole reason why there even are women's spaces is because of that fundamental truth. Bathrooms, sports, changing areas. I mean, you name it. The fact that you can even request a female doctor. I remember for the longest time, when I started having an OBGYN, for the longest time, I only wanted a female doctor. And that's my right. And that's anybody else's right to choose that. And now that right is taken away for you to have that choice because this other person is claiming that they are a woman. But they are not. They are a man who are saying they are a woman. And I understand that this is going to upset people, and people are going to say, oh, that was just your experience, and you're not, you don't represent all people, or you don't represent everybody who's going through it. You don't know what it's like. And you're right, I don't. However, I will also say that, and I will also say to that, just because I don't know what it's like for that individual to have that experience, I also think that the right response is not to chemically castrate them or to sterilize them or to perform surgeries on them that we really don't know the long-term effects. And I also think that children, especially when you're going through the puberty phase, your emotions are everywhere, and everybody knows. I thought everybody knew. Feelings change. I am not the same person now that I was when I was 12 or 13, and I don't have the same belief systems now, or the same mindset, or the same outlook, or the same understanding. And to make permanent decisions based on a temporary state or an emotional state in the time being, that for me is reckless. That for me is dangerous. And that's why I had to make this video. And that's why I had to start this channel. I need to be a voice that is on the side of truth, that is on the side of love and compassion. We no longer allow people to have different opinions. What it is now is we want to impose our opinions, impose our thoughts on other people. As opposed to we want to force others to, no, you must take my opinion on. You must take my feelings on. You must take my thoughts on. And anytime you do something with force, that is absolutely, there is no freedom in it, which means there is no love. I don't think you can be compassionate. And I don't think you can be kind. And I don't think you can be loving if you lie. And I don't think that everything is subjective. For me, there is a fundamental truth. My values, my being does reside on God. My truths, the foundation of me is going to be on the Bible. And I understand the society is secular, and I get it. Society doesn't abide by that. There's a separation of church and state. That is fine. Everybody has a right to choose. But I also know that I myself, to think that I am so good and so rational and so kind and so compassionate that I don't have to submit myself to anybody or anything, I think that that is what has led our society to where we are. And so that is why I invite you all to please speak up or submit. You condone what you don't speak out against. And thank you for watching. And I thank you for joining me on this journey. Please comment. Let me know. Did anybody else have those experiences? Did any other women out there? Were you uncomfortable when you were going through puberty? How long did it last? Did it last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? Every child is beautiful the way that they are. Why don't we send that message? Why don't we tell them that you are perfect how you are? You don't need anything else. You don't need to do anything to your body. God made you like that. Great, wonderful, perfect.